Number 1. When I was a kid, I had a lot of bad luck with creepy people, especially around my best friend. Most of my worst childhood experiences happened when I was with her on the various trips we took together. But those are stories for another time. First, let me set the scene for you. My best friend moved away from our hometown in Virginia to Alabama when we were in the 2nd grade. However, we were determined to stay in contact. We called each other almost every night and sent letters back and forth, and drove our parents crazy with questions about when we would be able to see each other in person again. Eventually, both our sets of parents agreed to me spending a few weeks in the summer down in Alabama. My dad drove me down to Tennessee, where my friend and her father met me, and then they drove me down to Alabama. Her parents weren't home often because they both worked, so that left me, my friend, and her little brother in the care of a babysitter. She was basically a nanny with how often she cared after all of us, but we didn't mind. In our minds, she was the pinnacle of coolness. She was in her early 20s with long blonde hair, a slender build, and a slow southern drawl. I don't remember her name, but I think it was something like Callie. One day, Callie took the 3 of us to the Air and Space Museum. I remember it was a scorching hot day, the kind of day that made most people want to stay at home in the air conditioning, or at least take a dip in a pool. So, naturally, us being 3 young children, we complained almost the entire time, until Callie agreed to make a stop at Sonic on the way home. Only under the condition that we had to eat outside, as she didn't want any food in her car. Now, I'm not sure if all Sonics look like this, because there are none in my area, but there was this little outdoor eating area covered in shade, and a drive-thru set up on one side of the building. Callie dropped us off on the outdoor section to claim a table while she went through the drive-thru to order. The place was basically abandoned, I guess because no one wanted to eat outside in such hot weather. Except for one man. Just by looking at this man, it was pretty easy to tell that he was homeless. His clothes were dirty and ill-fitting. He was scrawny and had a scraggly-looking beard that was the color of rust with patches of white here and there. He was sitting at the table next to us sipping on a drink. I didn't give him much thought at first as my friend and I chatted away, but he obviously noticed us. I was shocked when he approached us and tried to start a conversation. It was so sudden, and I had no idea how to respond, but I didn't suspect anything bad. I was the type of 8-year-old who thought adults were always right, and it's not good to ever question one. Plus, I was really shy. My friend, however, wasn't, and did most of the talking. While he spoke to us, I noticed a few things. First, he seemed rather jumpy. His eyes were wide, and he occasionally scanned the area, as if he was nervous. It almost made me think that he was scared of us for some reason. Secondly, all his attention was on me and my friend, completely ignoring her brother. While I had some of his attention, my friend had even more. I should explain here that my friend hit puberty earlier, and harder than most of our peers. She was way more developed than I was, but she was still adverse to wearing a bra, even though she probably needed one. And you can probably guess where his eyes were glued to. Finally, Callie had gotten the food and parked the car and made her way back to us. As soon as she spotted us, she practically came running and stood in between us and the man. She handed us our food and politely, but aggressively, asked the man who he was. I didn't understand at the time why the friendly Callie was being anything less than her cheery self, but it scared me. The man introduced himself as Charlie, and tried to strike up conversation with Callie. I don't remember his exact words, but I do remember feeling uncomfortable at what he was saying to her. It was far more blunt and flirtatious than it was when he was talking to us. But again, being so young, I didn't really understand it. Whatever he said must have freaked Callie out, because she quickly herded us up and whispered, "Waiting in the car, no questions." We were all confused, but quickly made our way to her car. Charlie, however, followed us the entire way, getting more and more aggressive the more Callie tried to end the conversation. At this point, we finally realized that whatever was happening wasn't good, so we rushed to get inside the car. Charlie then made a grab for Callie, but she got into the car before he could, and quickly slammed the door and locked it. What happened next is the clearest portion of this memory for me. Charlie gripped onto the door handle and pulled hard. The entire time, he had this wide grin on his face. Even remembering it now, it sends chills down my spine. When the door wouldn't open, he lifted a hand and tapped a finger on the glass, pointing down to the door, silently asking Callie to open it. Callie freaked. She started the car and backed up while he was still hanging on to the door handle. She then attempted to run over his foot, and this is when he finally let go. She drove away and frantically called her boyfriend in the car, while we kids ate our food in confusion. She told my friend's parents what happened, who in turn told my parents, but I don't know if the police were contacted. It's been over a decade since this happened, and the last thing I heard about Callie was that she married her boyfriend a few years after this incident. Wherever she is, I'll forever be grateful for how protective she was over us. And Charlie, if that is your real name, let's not meet. Number 2. Just to put into context, I am currently a 21-year-old female living in a fairly small town in Canada. Approximately 1,600 people reside here, and not a whole lot of shocking news happens either. This story happened when I was about 13 years old, back in the MSN days. My dad had just recently put a huge boxy computer into my room. Right away I downloaded MSN, as that's what everyone was using to communicate at school with. Every day after school I'd hop online and chat with my friends, and whoever I had a crush on that week, all while playing silly computer games. After about 6 months of having this computer in my room, some unknown person wanted to add me on MSN. I accepted, and she told me she was 14 years old. We chatted for a few days, when she starts telling me that she's getting bullied from her friends about her breast size, 'cause they were small. I was trying to tell her that it doesn't matter, and that they're just jealous. She then asked if she can send me a few pictures and tell her what I think. By now I'm thinking this is weird, but I tell her sure. She sends them to my email and kept asking me what I think. I kept telling her that they were fine, when she asks if I can send her one of mine so she can compare. I was trying to tell her no, but then I thought, why not? I know, I'm naive. I sent her one, and she gushes about mine and how pretty I am. Then she starts asking for more, but of different parts of my body. I finally put my foot down and told her no. She starts getting mad and calling me names, telling me she's going to send me viruses if I don't. I just block her and forget about it. I start thinking that it was actually a pedophile doing it. I'm pretty sure, at least. A week later, I get another request from a different email. I accept, and right away, they start asking me to go on cam. I tell them no, I don't want to. Then they say what they want me to do on cam. Sexual stuff. That if I don't, they're gonna send me a virus and will know if I block them again. so I blocked them. An hour later, I get an email saying they know I blocked them, and if I don't unblock, they will destroy my computer. I'm freaking out at this point. I don't tell anyone because I don't want to get in trouble and get my computer privileges taken away. I had a weekend sleepover at a friend's that night, so I go and try to forget about it. I didn't go onto the computer for a month. When I finally did, there was no viruses, thankfully. I never accepted another email I didn't know, and it was fine up until I got my first phone. Maybe about 7 months into having my phone, I get a text from a random number. It's a girl, and they are asking me for help. They just got out of the hospital from being in there for a few months because she got ran over by a car. This wouldn't be the hospital here because it was only the emergency room. If you had to stay in a hospital, you'd be in the next town over. She said her boyfriend was being mean and wouldn't pick her up. Then, she started talking about her boobs, and right away, I knew it was this person again, saying her friends were making fun of her because they were so small. I told them I remember who they were, and told them to fuck off. They then started getting mad, and threatening me, saying they knew where I lived and everything. How did they even get my number? I didn't, and still don't have it on Facebook. I should have told someone, but once again, I didn't want to get in trouble for whatever reason. I am very timid. You can raise your voice, even the slightest, and I'll cry. So, I just ignored them, and eventually, they gave up. Fast forward to when I was 19. I moved out and into a small, shitty apartment with my then boyfriend and a friend. We were having a get-together with all of our friends, bought some booze and drugs, and played board games. At about 11 p.m. or so, I get a text from an unknown number saying hey. I still kept the same number, just different phones. They sent me the picture I sent them when I was 13. They kept it all these years. By now, I'm livid and say, "Listen up, fuckwad. When I sent that photo, I was underage. So if you are in fact a pedophile, then you have a photo of someone underage. I have your phone number, and I also have a cop who lives a couple houses down. I'm going to bring him this information, and they will trace it back to your disgusting ass." I never got a response back. I ended up changing my number a year later, and haven't heard from them since. In hindsight, I should have went to the cops a long time ago. Who knows who they have done that to. I never did go to the cops because I wanted it to be over with. I never told anyone my story until last year when I told my delusional, deranged, and manipulative ex who was accusing me of cheating and sending nudes to people. I haven't sent any nudes since the first incident, and will never send anyone nudes. Doesn't matter how long I'm in the relationship for. It definitely screwed me up. Number 3. To preface, I was about 25 years old when this occurred. My boyfriend and I had been out visiting with friends, and we left their house late, around 2 a.m. Now, I've never been much of a drinker. I was addicted to opiates at the time, but that's neither here nor there. So I did the driving. On our way back, we decided to call in some omelets from the Waffle House, which is the only place where one can get takeout in the super early morning. So, we arrived at the Waffle House and I went inside to pick up our orders. As I was paying for the order, a young man to my left began pacing and mumbling angrily, muttering something I couldn't understand. I didn't think much of it since most diner patrons are either drunk or truck drivers at that time of day. When I collected the food and turned to leave, I noticed a young woman outside of the diner. She too was angrily pacing back and forth, grimacing and cursing. The young man followed me out into the parking lot. I sidestepped the woman to get to my car. The young man had gotten into another car, and the young woman sat in the passenger seat. Whatever, I thought. Tweakers. As I put my car into reverse, the car with the two tweakers screeched to a halt behind my car, pinning us into the parking spot. Within seconds, the man was knocking ferociously on my driver's side window and yelling at me. My boyfriend and I exchanged "what the fuck" glances, and I unrolled the car window about an inch. The conversation went something like this. "You stole my girlfriend's wallet, and you better give it the fuck back right now," he said. "I have no idea what you're talking about. I have my own wallet, and that's it," I said. "You fucking stole it from the counter, and we're getting it back one way or another," he yelled. "Dude, I didn't steal shit. Move your car, or I'm gonna back into it." "You better give it back right now, or give me yours, or you're fucking dead," he said. I rolled the window and backed my car up a few inches. He continued to scream at me through the window, then leapt back into his car with his girlfriend. They peeled backwards, and I exited the parking lot. At that point, my boyfriend and I were amused more than anything else, and we re-entered the highway. Just then, we heard the same car roar up behind us. The man was driving like an absolute maniac to dodge other cars, traffic lights, and stop signs, until he got so close to us that their car nearly rammed our back bumper. I weaved in and out of the sparse traffic as safely as I could in an attempt to throw them off of our route. Each time, he'd managed to pull behind us again. He clicked his headlights on and off the bright setting, and then he leaned on the horn. Inside our car, it was blinding and deafening. I sure as hell wasn't going to go home, so this tweaked, unhinged couple would know where we lived. I swear, it was almost like I could hear him still screaming, even over the blaring car horn. My boyfriend and I didn't do much talking, as I suppose we were both shocked and trying to figure out what to do. "Fuck this," I told him. "We're going to the police station." I doubled back, the car still bearing down on us. When I pulled into the police station, they followed. I locked my car doors, picked up my cell, and began to ring the station, because I sure as shit wasn't going to get out of my car. The man practically ran out of his car and up to my window, again banging and yelling. I'd gone way beyond concern and scared to absolutely pissed. "We want our goddamn money," he screamed. "Leave me the fuck alone. I'll let the fucking cops search me for your girlfriend's fucking wallet." He went silent. "I'm on the phone with the cops right now." If you don't have it, I guess you don't have it," he stammered. He then sprinted back to his car with his sour-faced girlfriend and burned rubber out of there. I stayed in the police station's parking lot for a while, talking to the cops on duty. When we finally left at about 3:30 a.m., I still made several loops through the town before eventually heading home, arriving after 4 a.m. Legally, nothing came of the incident. I had no idea what the couple's names were, nor did I get a license plate number. We gave the cops descriptions of their physical appearances and vehicle, but they seemed far more interested in making sure I wasn't drunk. Thanks, fellas. I'm fairly certain that the maniac couple was pulling a strong-armed con job, or else they were generally convinced that I mysteriously and magically stolen the girl's wallet, even though they were pacing and muttering as soon as I'd entered the diner, before I'd paid for the takeout. And that methamphetamine psychosis was responsible for the bizarre severity of their behavior. Anyway, fuck those assholes. My omelets were cold and rubbery by the time I got home. Thank you for listening. Remember, if you liked this video, to leave a thumbs up and also subscribe for future content. On just a side note, I also wanted to apologize. I know I said that this video was going to be a longer one compared to my previous videos that I posted, But as I got home tonight and turned on my computer to record another few stories to add to these 3, I realized that somehow my computer had completely crashed again for about the 5th time. So I had to reinstall everything because I had to wipe everything back off my computer again. And so I had to re-record these stories as well. And I kind of figured I should just push this video out as it is, so you guys don't have to wait till tomorrow night, or maybe possibly the morning after tomorrow night. So I really hope you guys forgive me for this video not being the longest. But with all that being said, I hope you guys have a great night. And remember, keep the lights on. You never know what's hiding in the dark.